And a very good evening to you. Welcome to Classifieds for the first time in 2025. It's Ben Cunningham in the chair this evening. We've got all the results in for the football and rugby, and we've got plenty coming up as well. We've got 2 cup draws to do for football, as well as 6 draws for hockey. So stay tuned for that. But first, we're going to have a look at the latest classified scores. And we start with football, and in the Ecap FA Cup preliminary round, Onchan 2, Ayr 7, St John's United 2, Rushen 3, Ramsey 7, Michael 1, Douglas Royal 0, Foxdale 5, Castletown 1, St George's 4, Governors Athletic 8, Malone 0, Douglas High School and All Boys 1, Corinthians 7. Union Mills 9, Marown 0. In the Canada Life Premier League, Laxey 3, Peel 4. Arden and Drugan Division 2, Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys 1, Braddon 1. In Canada Life Combi 1, Foxdale against Union Mills, match postponed. Ayr United 5, Laxey 5. Corinthians 3, Marown 0. Peel 0, St John's 6, Rushen United 3, St Mary's 1, Arden and Drugan combination 2, Braddon against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys, match postponed. Gyms 2, Douglas and Districts 5, and Michael United 0, Colby 14. Looking at rugby in Regional 2 North West, Vale of Loon 36, Douglas 10. Women's NC North, Vagabonds 22, Lee 24. And in Counties 3, ADM's Lancs and Cheshire, Ashton United and Lee against Vagabonds, match postponed. So that is your classified results for this evening. So if I get my papers back in order, like that, and we'll say a very good evening and Happy New Year to Tony Mepham. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, and a little bit cold, the weather, isn't it? And a bit of snow coming in later on tonight, so I'm glad the snow didn't come in last night, because it would have been a bit of a problem, I think, today with grounds. But a few frozen grounds this morning, but we've got away with it, Ben, and hopefully tonight won't be too severe to damage the pitches for the Astro games tomorrow and also the games next Saturday.
Absolutely. So let's start with the Ecap FA Cup, and we'll look at Onchan against Ayr United. Onchan 2, Ayr United 7.
Yeah, it's a good result for Ayr United, and you probably noticed that they won the Railway Cup on Boxing Day, and well done to them. And certainly today, Sean Kelly back on form once again. He got 4 of the goals. Chris Duggan got 1, Cameron Torr, and Aidan Cummins with a rare one. He's just come back into it. Andy Aspridge got the 2 goals for Onchan, but I think Onchan realised on today's performance, certainly from Ayr United, hard to beat, hard to get involved and get something out of them, and Ayr United go through.
St John's United 2, Rushen 3.
Yeah, I watched this one, and within a couple of minutes, your writing was on the wall, to be honest with you. Jamie Calder it was who got the first one, and then just on the start of the second half, Jamie Cadwalder got the second of the game. And then Danny Lane got a good goal as well, because ball down the right hand side, played across, and it looked as if Danny was going to run out of space, to be honest with you. The ball was going to go out, but he managed to hook it in with his left foot and gave it a 3-0 lead to Rushen. But then in the last 10 minutes or so, St John's really picked themselves up. Luke Murray it was who got one back to make it 3-1. And then about 2 minutes later, Ray Lovell got one after Luke Murray had the first attempt, but Ray finished it off to make it 3-2. So it was all sort of throw everything at them if they could in the last few minutes, but they didn't get a goal, and it's Rushen going to the hat later on.
Great result for Ramsey, 7-1 against Michael United.
Yeah, it certainly was, and Michael United, bit of a movement in Manx football. Rob Cottier, who's been ever present at Peel, has moved to Michael to help them out. Well done to him. And he didn't do his debut game much fault neither, because he scored on his debut a direct free kick, so an absolute belter. But for Ramsey, it was a good performance all round. Jamie Agnew got 2, Dylan Pickles on the score sheet, Adam Carouche, Nathan Crane, Tom Chattel, and a goal for Graham Kennish. So a good result that for Ramsey. Beating Michael 7-1, 3-0 at half time.
Great result there. Let's go to Douglas Royal against Foxdale. 5-0 Foxdale.
Yeah, it was, and probably expected, to be honest with you, because when you see the team that Foxdale have got this season, it's really strong. And one of the strongest players is Jay Chatwood up front, and he got 2 of the goals. Kevin Pullman got 1. Jason Charmer from the score sheet as well. And Reece Fellows, that's a new name for me, certainly in the Foxdale's first team, scoring, and only 16 years of age, so well done to him. Great result for Foxdale.
Castletown 1, St George's 4.
Yeah, good performance by St George's in the end, and Nathan Cardy scored for Castletown, and he's an ex-player of St George's, so it's always nice to score against your old club. Nick Bass got the first, well done Nick. Ed Canna got 1. Chris Bass scored direct from a free kick to make it 3, and an own goal involved as well. So St George's with a comfortable result in the end, 4-1.
Great result for Governors Athletic.
Yeah,
8-0 against Maloo.
Certainly was, and I'll leave it to the mathematicians on this one, Ben, but I reckon on my sort of memory, this is the biggest win that Governors Athletic have had in the Ecap FA Cup prelim round, or right the way through the whole competition. And the star of the show was David Kay. He got 3. Josh Dunn got a goal. Then it was Diago Vicente, Kyle Jackson, Fabrido Captillo, I think it is, and Telini Akunalu got 1 there for Governors as well. So cracking start for the FA Cup for them in the 2025 FA Cup competition.
I was going to say, some of them names there giving you a right tongue twister.
Some belters, 3 in there, yeah. Governors always come up with sort of players like that, but they don't score many goals, and I'm not saying I hope it doesn't happen for the rest of the season, because we don't want that to happen, but yeah, I'll get used to the names, but well done them for them today. Really good performance, strong performance, and scoring plenty of goals.
Brilliant. Douglas High School and Old Boys 1, Corinthians 7. I believe Rob went to this game.
He did, and I'm just trying to find Rob's report, because the scores have been coming through thick and fast, but an absolute brilliant result by them, Corinthians, because it was 7-1 in the end. And let's just see what Rob has to say. Right, half-time 2-0. Danny Corran got the goal for Old Boys, but for Corinthians it was Dan Simpson with 3, Connor Clark, Sam Corkle, Josh Ridings and Joe Middleton. In a cagey first half, Corinthians led 2-0 with Dan Simpson scoring twice in 6 minutes. The first a cross-come shot from the left before a free kick from around 20 yards. Old Boys got back in the game 1 minute into the second period when Danny Corran fired home from the edge of the box for a half-cleared corner. Simpson then became provider, feeding Connor Clark to tap in from close range to restore Corinthians' 2-goal cushion. Then 2 goals in 60 seconds for the visitors. First, a Sam Corkle drive into the bottom corner from the edge of the area before Simpson got his hat-trick, rounding Nathan Quayle 1-on-1 and passing into an empty net. As Corinthians took control late on, captain Josh Riding scored from 30 yards and just over 10 minutes left before substitute Joe Middleton headed home a Connor Clark cross on 87 minutes. All Boys acquitted themselves well at times, particularly in the first half, but in the second the quality of Corinthians, particularly Dan Simpson, provided just too much for the Division 2 title contenders to contend with. So thanks very much, Rob, and well done to Corinthians, 7-1 winners.
And the final fixture in the Ecap FA Cup was Union Mills against Moran, 9-0 to Union Mills.
Yeah, thumping victory this for Union Mills, and when you look at it, 3-0 at half time, so great second half performance. Thanks to Steve Carter for the scorers and score times, because Jordan Crawley got the first on 1 minute, then Jack Murray got his first of a hat-trick on 9. Lewis Hicks scored on 40th to make it 3-0. Then 2 minutes into the second half, Jordan Crawley got another one, so that's 4-0. And Mika Crow on 57 made it 5. Then Jack Murray got his name on the score sheet once again, and Dominic McCarry scoring his only goal on the 70th minute. And then it was 4 goals it was for Jack. Jack Murray got his third on 77 and completed his fourth and scoring powers today for Union Mills on 88 minutes to make it Union Mills 9, Moran 0.
Brilliant. So does that mean then we've got our teams ready for the draws? One of two draws, should I say, as we've got coming up tonight for you.
Yeah, we certainly have, and certainly the FA Cup first round, 16 teams in it, and Carl Conroy's on his way from Ecap to do the draw. But I didn't think this morning, Ben, we would have 16 teams in the hat. I thought we were going to lose some games with the frost that was round, but we've got away with that. And after that draw, we're going to do the GH Corlett Woods Cup draw as well. So, yeah, all safe and sound on that one. And thank you to the gods up there for the weather that they provided today.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at Canada Life Premier League. Laxey 3, Peel 4. What a game.
Good game, and well done to Laxey, because I watched them in the last league game when they played recently against Union Mills, and they struggled big time. But Greg Kelly got one, George Partington on the score sheet, Brodie Patience as well scored a goal. But Peel's star today, Jake Robertshaw, he got a hat-trick. Lewis Roberts scored as well. And a bit of pressure for Peel to deal with at the end, because Ellis Dunn got sent off for 2 yellow cards. And Laxey piled the pressure on, but they couldn't get that equaliser. And Peel get another 3 valuable points at the top of the Canada Life Premier League, with Ayr United playing in the Cup today.
Arden and Drugan Division 2, Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys 1, Braddon 1.
That's a good result, that, for Ramsey Youth Centre, because, Braddon, at the top of the table, battling away with Old Boys. Ramsey Youth Centre actually took the lead. I haven't got their goal scorer, but Liam Kane scored from the penalty spot for Braddon. And Youthy's goalkeeper, whoever it was, well done, because we've had 2 or 3 reports what a great performance you had today. So that's probably why Youthy got a point out of that one. But 2 points dropped for Braddon could prove costly at the end of the season, with teams just below them, people like Old Boys, and that, sort of advantage a little bit towards them, but still a lot of football to be played.
Absolutely. Canada Life Combination 1, Foxdale against Union Mills, match postponed, I'm guessing.
Pitch? Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll go to Ayr United against Laxey, a 10-goal thriller here, 5 apiece.
That would have been nice to watch, wouldn't it? And Phil Dunnigan, who played in the Railway Cup final, he got 2 of the goals today. Dean Tier got 1, Phil Quayle, and David Corlett. Unfortunately, we haven't got the Laxey's goal scorers.
Corinthians 3, Morown 0.
Yeah, Lewis Radcliffe, well done Lewis, with one of the goals. But the boy on fire at the moment is Ryan Nelson. He got 2 of the goals for Corinthians, finished up 3-0.
It's Peel 0, St John's United 6.
Yeah, Western Derby, and Pedro Cardoza with 2 of the goals for St John's. Liam Sale with 2 as well. Matthew Beattie and Stephen Chadwick. And also in this costly exercise for the players, 8 bookings in this game. But St John's, to me, better performance today, and keeping a clean sheet will help them big time. 6-0 winners against Peel.
Absolutely. Russian United 3, St Mary's 1.
Yeah, haven't got Russia's goal scorers, but keeps them right in touch at the top of the table. St Mary's goal scorer was Chris Dowling.
Arden Drugan Combination 2, Braddon against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys, match postponed. Is that a pitch?
Pitch, yep.
Okay, Jims against Douglas and District. Jims 2, Douglas and District 5.
Yeah, 4-1 to D&D at half-time. Haven't got Jim scorers, but for D&D it was Kyle Clark with 2 of the goals. And Richard Radcliffe, I would say he must be their top goal scorer now at Douglas and District. So he got a hat-trick and the 3rd win on the bounce for them. So well done to D&D.
Not a result I really wanted to end on, but Michael United 0, Colby 14.
Yeah, Colby are a strong side in Combination 2, and certainly against Michael. We know that they've lost a lot of players this season, and we feel for them big time. They were trailing 5-0 at half-time, but second half they couldn't contain Colby. They got another 9 goals. Seb Spears got a hat-trick. Jack Skillicorn got 3 goals as well. Jack Fordham wasn't going to be outdone neither. He got a hat-trick. Stevie Collister with a couple of goals. Will Kane and James Galloway with the other one, and throw in an own goal as well. It's been a tough afternoon for Michael. They lost 14-0.
That concludes all our scores for tonight for the football. So just looking ahead to the Ecap FA Cup draw, are the teams that you expected to win in that?
Yeah, I think so, because you look at the top of the Canada Life Premier League, you look at Ayr United, you look at Peel, you look at Corinthians, they're all there. Laxey obviously coming to the draw because they had a bye today. You've got Foxdale, who had that result against Douglas Royal. And then when you look at other clubs rushing with the performance that they had with St John's today, winning and going into the hat. And St Mary's, to me, are potentially a team to look out for in this, because they had a bit of a tough start to the season. But now when I look at the players that are coming back in, they're looking so stronger. And I just think that they're a team that, might be just an outside team that could come in and get involved to get their way to the final, which is on Easter Saturday. Bit of a wait for that one.
Absolutely. Well, Tony, we're just going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to have the Ecap FA Cup draw and the GH Woods Cup as well.
Spot on.
So you're going to join us very shortly.
Manx Radio Sport.
Okay, so we're just going to go and give Tony a chance to go and get his colleague in for the Ecap FA Cup draw and the GH Woods Cup draw. But we are going to look at rugby now, and we're going to say a good evening and Happy New Year to Dave Christian. Happy New Year, Dave.
Yes, Happy New Year, Ben. It's a cold one, but a good one.
Absolutely. Let's look at the scores that have come in today. Let's start with Regional 2 Northwest.
Yeah, not a good start for Douglas in Regional 2 Northwest, or at least not the start they wanted. Vale of Loon are in 4th place. Douglas were tied for 7th. So the writing on the wall a little bit ahead of the game. But Douglas took a strong squad. I think as strong as an away squad as I've seen so far this season. But they just didn't quite have enough to overcome Vale of Loon at home. They trailed 19-5 at half-time. Cal Dentith with a try to keep them in the hunt. But the second half comeback never quite materialised, and a second try, courtesy of Charlie Henthorne, was the best they could do. They'll move onwards and upwards. They will face second place Sandbach next week at Portishead, which will be another tough game for them, but it will be a pretty good test. They are not too far away from breaking into the top 5, I think, is probably the best they can hope for. The way the league table is shaping up, it's unlikely that Douglas will be challenging for promotion come the end of the season. Sandbach are actually on top today. Now I got the league table up. Sandbach and Forward Waterloo are running away with it a little bit. Bowden not too far behind them. There's a gap then between Vale of Loon and then Douglas. Realistically, I think with the games they have left, probably if they get a top 5 finish, it will be a positive season for them. But 2 losing bonus points suggest that they're not too far away from it. So good luck to them next week against new league leaders Sandbach. Vagabonds against Ashton-under-Lyne was postponed. Ashton's pitch frozen ahead of the cold snap we're going to experience later tonight. So that game called off late yesterday. And nobody had to make the journey. But Vagabonds ladies did go ahead. They had Lee visiting them. Lee had won 73-5 in the reverse of the fixture back in Lee at the start of the season. But Vagabonds have improved a little bit since then. And we thought it was going to be close, and that's exactly how it turned out. A try 2 minutes from the end saw Lee snatch victory 24-22 at Ballafletcher, and broken hearts really for Vagabonds because they led pretty much from half-time onwards. Freya Crow went over early for Vaggers in the first half. Sammy McDonald converted. That gave them a 7-0 lead. But then 2 tries in 2 minutes from Lee sort of upset the apple cart a little bit. Rhiann Bogue went in and fullback Neve Gill-Ward. They were both converted by Abby Kay, and Lee went ahead 14-7. The Ballafletcher faithful, there were murmurs along the touchline. We thought that this could be the sign of another big defeat, but fair play to Vagabonds, it wasn't. Malin Campbell struck twice for them in the run-up to half-time, and when the teams turned around, Vaggers was 17-14 in front. Just after the break, Bliss Murta went over for Vaggers' 4th try of the afternoon to give them an 8-point lead. But at that stage, they had to switch to full-on defensive mode because Lee really piled on the pressure. The Vaggers' defence was solid and valiant, but sadly for them, it leaked twice. And on both occasions, Rhiann Bogue went in for tries to make a hat-trick for her this afternoon. First one, close range after the forwards had got deep into Vaggers' territory. The second one was a run down the right wing and managed to fend off the Vaggers' defence to get over the line and claim the match points for Lee. No league table news from Vegas this afternoon because the majority of the ladies' games are played on Sunday afternoons. So there's no change for them this afternoon. They pick up 2 points for the match, but Lee were 5 ahead, I think, going into the game. So Lee will stretch away now, leaving Vegas clinging on to 4th place, subject to tomorrow's matches.
Dave, thank you very much, and we'll speak to you next week.
Yep.
Manx Radio Sport.
Happy days. So that's all our rugby all concluded. And of course, now we're going to look ahead to FC Isle of Man's big game tonight. And we're going to speak to Rob Pritchard. He's got team news. Good evening and Happy New Year, Rob Pritchard.
Good evening, Ben, and Happy New Year to you too, and Happy New Year to all of those listening in. Welcome to the Bowl Stadium in Douglas for the first time in 2025, ahead of this latest NWCFL Premier Division clash, the first of the new calendar year for FC Isle of Man, getting underway in under an hour's time. We can bring you team news. We're going to start with the hosts, FC Isle of Man. They make 3 changes from the side that earned that late 3-2 victory over FC St Helens in their last game on the 28th of December. FC Isle of Man's team is as follows, with Leo Tregertha, Ben Wilkinson dropping out, Dan Hattersley and Ronan McDonnell coming into 2 changes there. The starting lineup as follows. In goal is Adam Killier, and then it's Callum Sherry, Jacob Crook, Sam Baines, the captain Alex Maitland, Carl Watson, Daniel Gerrard, Jack Kamada, Luke Booth, Tom Creer and Charlie Higgins. Substitutes for FC Isle of Man are Steve Whitley, Sean Doyle, Dean Pinnington, Ronan McDonnell and Dan Hattersley. And for the visitors, Glossop North End, the manager Richard Brodie, he makes 3 changes from the side that suffered that comprehensive 4-1 defeat at the hands of AFC Liverpool a few days ago. Dropping out this time around are Joe Pennington, Eli Fisher and Steve Dryden, and coming in this time David Badrock, Lewis Riley and Oliver Parker. The starting 11 is as follows. In goal is Alex Brown, and then it's Dylan McMahon, Philip Perry, the captain Lee Rick, Jack Hopkins, David Badrock, Tom Lawless, Abdul Jallo, Lewis Riley, Connell Gallagher and Kyle Worsley. The substitutes for Glossop North End, they are Oliver Parker, Oliver McKay, Aaron Bardsley, Gabrielle Mooney-Munoz and Keaton Mulvey. Your referee this evening is Martin Kent and his assistants are Stuart Morris and Sam Palmer. Well, for FC Isle of Man, it was the tonic they needed at the end of 2024 to get that late victory here against that 10-man FC St Helens side here at the Bowl. That ended a run of 4 games without a victory, their longest winless run in the league so far this season. For Glossop North End, going into Christmas Day, everything was looking rather rosy for them on the back of 3 straight victories. However, back-to-back losses in their last 2 games means Richard Brodie and his team will have been hard at work going into 2025 to try and make amends and maybe, just maybe, try and get their first results over FC Isle of Man. In the 2 meetings last season, it was the Ravens who prevailed to take maximum points, both home and away. A 3-2 win here at the Bowl followed a 4-0 victory away at the Asgard Engineering Stadium earlier in the season. So which of these sides, if either, can make a winning start to 2025? We'll have to find out in the next few minutes. FC Isle of Man versus Glossop North End. Kick-off in just under 35 minutes' time at 6 o'clock. And we'll be bringing you full live match commentary on Manx Radio, DAB and AM 1368. In the meantime, Ben, back to you.
Rob, brilliant. Thank you very much. Tony's just asking here in the studio, what's the temperature like down at the Bowl? He just wants to know.
Well, if you need an indication, this is the first game of the season that I've had to deploy the gloves. So I think that gives you a bit of an idea just as to how much the temperature is dropping here. Nevertheless, though, just having a look around, fans are, of course, filtering in ahead of that 6 o'clock kickoff. So some of those are braving the conditions, I think it's fair to say. Me, meanwhile, in the afternoon, of course, was out at one of the games today in the Ecap FA Cup preliminary round. Took the quick opportunity before coming down to the Bowl just to get home and get warm and get set up for this one.
Absolutely, Rob. You keep wrapped up warm and we'll catch up with you later. Rob, thank you very much.
Manx Radio Sport.
Okay, so we're going to welcome back Tony Mepham and we are going to start off with the Ecap FA Cup draw first round. I'll let you take the reins from here now, Tony.
Thank you, no problem, and thanks to Ecap's representative, Carl Conroy. I've just been checking out how his Christmas has gone. It's gone well. His son, I think, is asleep in the car with his wife, so we can't take too long on this. But welcome, Carl. Good Christmas, yep.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Thanks for having me, Tony. I'm sure if he's not asleep already, I'll put him to sleep with my dulcet tones while we do the draw. But I'm looking forward to this. A few big scores as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you've played in Manx football, so you know what teams are strong and what aren't, and you've got the bag there with 16 teams in it. So there's a lot of clubs out there who would like to know who they're going to be playing in the first round. Now, these are usually played in the first week of February, so we do it like on a monthly process, and then hopefully arrive at the final on Easter Saturday. That's the plan. But I think the weather might not play ball with us, but certainly we got away with it today. So if you could, please start making draw, Carl.
Of course. So first out we have number 8.
And number 8 is Laxey.
And they will be taking on number 14.
And number 14 is St George's. That's Laxey v St George's.
Okay, and next up we have number 1.
Number 1 is A United.
Who are going to be taking on number 4.
And number 4 is Corinthians.
Ooh, be a good draw. Next we have number 10.
Number 10 is Pulrose.
Who are going to be playing number 3.
And number 3 is Colby.
Okay. We have number 12.
And number 12 is Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys.
Taking on number 11.
And number 11 is Ramsey.
Okay. We have number 9.
And number 9 is a home game for Peel.
And they'll be taking on number 16.
And number 16 is Union Mills. You're pulling some big games out here, sir.
There's only a few left to do. So next out we have number 13.
Number 13 is Russian.
Taking on number 2.
And number 2 is Braddon.
Okay. Last two to do. We've got number 15.
And number 15 at the Bowl, St Mary's.
Taking on number 5.
And number 5 is Douglas and District.
So if we've got this right, there should be 2 numbers left.
Hopefully.
Which is number 7.
And number 7 is Governors Athletic, who had that great result today. I noticed you picked up on that one.
I did.
When you came into the studio.
I did, unfortunately, an 8-0 win over Malou. But they're going to be taking on number 6.
And number 6 is Foxdale. So we'll run through the draw and then we'll put 13 teams back in the bag. So we'll 11 teams, back in the bag. But the draw for the Ecap FA Cup first round ties to be played in February. The first one out of the hat, Laxey against St George's. Ayr will play Corinthians at home. Pulrose against Colby. Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys will play Ramsey. Peel against Union Mills. Russian with a home tie against Braddon. St Mary's against Douglas and District. And the final one out, the 8th game, is Governors Athletic against Foxdale.
Looking at them ties then, which one stands out to you?
There's 2, I think. Ayr United against Corinthians, they actually play each other next week in the league. So that's a belter because I haven't looked at the league tables lately, but Ayr United were top. I think Peel might have taken them now. But Ayr top, Corinthians third. So real good game. And when you look at sort of the games over recent times, you know, Ayr and Corinthians have sort of shared it a little bit because Corinthians beat Ayr at home last year, as where this year it was Ayr that won 3-1. So nip and tuck on that. And the other one I looked at was the Peel against Union Mills, because Union Mills at the moment are banging form. They had a great result 7 days ago against Laxey. But then when you look at that result today against Premiership side Moran to win 9-0, Ben, that takes some doing. The other ones, Laxey against St George's. Depends what sort of form Laxey are in at the moment, because, when I watched them recently, they struggled. But today I thought that's a reasonable game against Peel. Pulrose against Colby. Could be tight because Colby have slipped down Division 2 a little bit, but Pulrose still in that mid-table position. Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys against Ramsey. Wow. Northern Derby always goes well. Ramsey Youth Centre took points off the league leaders, or one of the top teams, today in Braddon. So that'll be a close battle against Ramsey. Russian against Braddon. It'll just give Braddon an indication, being near the top of Div 2. how they could sort of do against a team that's sort of a little bit down in the Premier League. And St Mary's against D&D. D&D, bottom of Div 2, when you look at St Mary's, much improved. But D&D do have a habit of putting in a good performance against a side that you'd expect them to get beaten. I always remember one a few years ago against Peel. They took the lead, and then I think that they lost something like 15-1 in the end. But that just shows you what can happen. So great draw made by Carl. Now, hopefully, Carl, we can get 11 numbers. So we've got a bit of sorting out to do on this one. 1 to 11 back in. So we've got 16, 15 out. 14, 15, 16. We should have number
1, 2,
13 and 12. That's it. You can see
Very
you work
technical,
with
this,
figures.
isn't it, Tony?
Oh, I tell you what, it's a good job Carl works with figures. You can see it's
I'm
coming
missing
in
my calculator
11.
today,
So
guys.
we got 12 out, 13 out. We got 14 out, 15 out, 16 out, and then we've got some hockey draws to do as well, haven't we?
Absolutely. Full pack show, this.
Good man. Right, give him a good shuffle.
Go on then.
These games are to be played in a couple of weeks' time. It is the 18th of January. We've held the draw back a little bit purely because of the festive period and no sports programme. But God save allowed us on tonight. And thanks again to Gary Corlett and everyone involved at GH Corlett's for sponsoring this Woods Cup. It's a massive amount of years they've done this one. We want 3 games out. So if you could please, we need 6 teams to come out.
So out first is number 8.
And number 8 is Maloo.
Go on, Maloo. And they are playing number 11.
And number 11 is Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys.
Next out, we've got number 1.
Number 1, home tie for Braddon.
Taking on number 7.
And number 7 is Governors Athletic.
Okay, and game 3 is number 5.
Number 5, high flying Douglas High School Old Boys.
Taking on number 4.
Number 4, Douglas and District. So I don't think people at Douglas and District will be too impressed with you, Carl, because you've given them 2 tough games. You've given one in the GH Corlett's and you've given one in the Ecap FA Cup. Let's give you that draw again, Ben. The first one out the hat. Maloo will play against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys. Braddon at home against Governors Athletic. And Douglas High School Old Boys against Douglas and District.
What's your opinion on them games?
Tough one. Maloo took a bit of a pasting today, surprised with that one. So, you know, maybe they got players away, but Ramsey Youth Centre in good form, so go for Ramsey Youth Centre to win. Braddon against Governors, they've dropped points of late. I know this is a cup game, but certainly the one today against Ramsey Youth Centre. So Governors with that 8-0 win. And, you know, Governors are a pretty strong and physical team. But you just still expect Braddon to win that. And Old Boys against D&D. You have to go with Old Boys to win it. But D&D, if they turn up, they could cause problems for them. So, yeah, 3 good games.
Absolutely brilliant. So we will just have a quick recap of them draws. So in the FA Cup, it's Laxey against St George's, Ayr against Corinthians, Paul Rose against Colby, Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys against Ramsey, Peel against Union Mills, Russian v Braddon, St Mary's against Douglas and District, and Governors Athletic against Foxhill. And then in the GH Cups, Woods Cup, it's Maloo against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys, Braddon against Governors Athletic, and Douglas High School Old Boys against Douglas and District. We're just going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have some hockey draws.
Manx Radio Sport.
This is Manx Radio, but you knew that already. Did you know there's another Manx Radio 24 hours a day?
Manx Radio Gold.
Playing the greatest hits on earth from the 60s and 70s, the 80s, 90s and beyond.
Manx Radio Gold.
On your smart device, select the Manx Radio app, press Gold, and there it is, 24 hours a day with the greatest hits on earth.
Manx Radio Gold.
Or say, Alexa, play Manx Radio Gold.
Manx Radio Gold.
Manx Radio Gold plays the greatest hits on earth 24 hours a day. Now on your smart device.
Manx Radio Sport.
And we're not done just yet. We're now going to look at hockey, and we've now got the Ladies' Cup plate and bowl draws to do, as well as the Men's Cup plate and bowl draws to do. And we've kept We're going to get him to do another draw for us. So we're going to look at the Ladies' Cup first, and we need 2 ties out first. So when you're ready.
Not a problem. So I'm drawing home team first, which is going to be number 1.
And that's Vikings A.
And they're taking on number 5.
And that is Harlequins A.
Okay. Then we've got number 4.
That is Backers A.
Taking on number 6.
And that is Ramsey A. So we have 2 buys as well, and they are
Out first. Oh, I suppose both the same. We've got number 3.
And that is Valkyries.
And number 2.
And that will be Castletown. Brilliant. So the next draw we've got is the Ladies' Plate. We need 5 teams for this one. So just 5 in the hat.
Okay, and out first.
Okay, we're just wanting the 1 tie for this one.
1 tie for this one. Okay, so it's number 1
It's Castletown Ladies B.
playing number 5.
And that is Castletown Ladies C.
Ooh.
We've got a Castletown derby. And then our buys.
Buys are number 3,
And that is Valkyries B.
number 2,
Vikings B.
and number 4.
Backers Ladies B. Brilliant. So we're going to now look at the Ladies Bowl. We need 6 in the hat again for this one. It's very technical, this.
Oh,
isn't
it is.
Tony?
It's getting complicated.
Like Carl's here.
Okay, and how many
Okay,
games for this
We're
one?
going to need 2 ties for this one.
2 ties. Okay. First out in the first tie is number 3,
Number 3 is Valkyries Ladies C.
taking on number 4.
And that is Vikings C.
Okay. The second tie, number 5,
Is Castletown E.
taking on number 2.
And that is Harlequins. Meaning our buys are
Number 1 and number 6.
number 1 and number 6, which is Ramsey. And number 6, Watchers Backers. Okay, so we just look at them draws again. In the cup, we've got Vikings A against Harlequins A and Backers A against Ramsey A, with buys for Valkyries A and Castletown A. In the plate, we've got Castletown B v Castletown C, with buys for Valkyries, and Valkyries, Vikings B, and Backers B. And then in the bowl, we've got Valkyries C against Vikings C, Castletown E against Harlequins B, and then the buys are for Ramsey Ladies B and Backers Ladies B. So now we're going to do the men's draw, and we need 6 teams in this one.
Okay.
We're going to do the men's cup, so we need 2 ties for this one.
Okie dokie. First team out is number 3,
Number 3 is Valkyries
taking on number 4.
against Harlequins.
That's becoming a pattern there.
This is
We've got number 6
number 6 is Valkyries B.
taking on number 5.
Number 5 is Castletown A.
And then our buys are number 1 and number 2.
And the buys are for Vikings A and Backers A. Okay, the next draw, we need 5 in the hat for this one. And we're just going to draw one tie out, with the rest having buys.
Not a problem. Okay, first number out. Number 5
Number 5 is Backers B.
taking on number 3.
And that is Castletown B.
Okay, so our buys should be numbers 1, 2 and 4.
1, 2 and 4, which are Ramsey A, Vikings B, and Harlequins B. And the final draw, and we'll let you go after this one, we promise, is the men's bowl, and we need 4 in the hat and 2 draws.
4 in the hat and 2 draws. So first number out, number 1,
Number 1 is Valkyries C
taking on number 2.
against Backers Colts.
So the home one for this is number 3,
Is Castletown Men's C
taking on number 4.
against Vikings Men's C. So we'll just recap them draws. So we've got Valkyries A against Harlequins A and Valkyries B against Castletown A in the Cup with buys for Vikings A and Backers A. In the plate, we've got Backers B against Castletown B with buys for Ramsey A, Vikings B and Harlequins B. And then in the bowl, it is going to be Valkyries C against Backers Colts and Castletown Men's C against Vikings Men's C. And one to note on this one, in the bowl, these matches will be played in the second round as this cup competition already goes into the semi-finals. Gentlemen, thank you very much for staying. Tony, you're going to the bowl.
Certainly. Aren't you going to ask Carl where he thinks the hockey winners are going to come from in that draw you've just done?
I'll go for backers on any of those. I've
backers,
never
are
played
you?
properly. I've been. It used to be Whit Weekend, didn't it? I've been somewhat involved in that. Never competitive hockey other than like business league, but I'll go for backers on an outcome for any of those.
Exactly.
You'll be very popular with the backers clang, I'll tell you that. Not for the Vikings though. Tony, looking ahead to FC Isle of Man's game, what's your opinion on that one?
Yeah. Hopefully it's going to be a good game. I really enjoyed it last week against Stockport. I thought they stuck to their task. They were a good side, and unfortunately, just for the visitors, once they got that player sent off, it was sort of going to be a bit of a struggle for them. But I've looked at the squad again for tonight. It's looking really strong. I think Sam Baines coming in at centre-back alongside Alex Maitland really helped things. Defensively, we look good. Midfield, I thought Danny Gerrard was absolutely superb and deserved his man of the match last week. And then sort of when you look at the other players that came off the bench, Sean Doyle, Steve Whitley, Dean Pennington, they added an awful lot, and you expected that because they're 3 quality players. So Paul Jones, see what his squad is, or his starting lineup is tonight, and hopefully another 3 points, please. Thank you.
No worries. Have you got your thermals ready?
I need more of my thermals, I think. I need a head of hair to start off with, but that's not going to happen. So I'm going to root in the back of the van, see if I can find a bobble hat. It might be a tatty one, but I think it's going to be a bit cold down there tonight, Ben.
No worries. Chaps, I'll let you get going. Thank you very much for your help this evening, and we will speak to you all next weekend.
Manx Radio Sport.
So that's just about it for classifieds, but first we're going to leave you with the headlines. In the Ecap FA Cup, wins for Ayr United, Russian United, Ramsey, Foxdale, St George's, Governors Athletic, Douglas Corinthians and Union Mills. The full list of the draw for the Ecap FA Cup first round will be on manxradio.com following the conclusion of this programme. In the Premier League, Laxey just miss out against Peel. Peel take it by 4 goals to 3. And in Arden and Druggan Division 2, Ramsey Youth Centre and Braddon couldn't be split. In Canada Live Combi 1, wins for Corinthians, St John's, Russian United, and 10 goals between Ayr United and Laxey, 5 apiece. And in Arden Dragon Combination 2, wins for Douglas and District, and Colby hitting 14. In rugby, Regional 2 Northwest, Vale of Loom get the better of Douglas. They take it by 36-10. Whilst on the island, Vagabonds just miss out against Lee in the women's NC North South. In hockey, in the Cup, Vikings A will take on Harlequins A and Backers A take on Ramsey. In the plate, it's a Castletown derby between Castletown B and Castletown C. And in the bowl, Valkyries C against Vikings B and Castletown against Harlequins. In the Men's Cup, Valkyries A will meet Harlequins, while Valkyries Men's B will meet Castletown A. In the plate, it will be Backers B v Castletown B. And finally, in the bowl, it's Valkyries against Backers Colt and Castletown C v Vikings C. That concludes full-time and classifieds for this weekend. Thank you so much for your company and your analysis. Big thank you to Tony and Dave as well for their input.